Ed Balls was remaining optimistic.
Mr. Balls, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, there's been this story going the rounds on Twitter and all the rest of it that you've been defeated. Have you heard anything about your result yet or not?
David, the ballot boxes haven't even arrived in the count. And they've got to be counted, and then we'll get the results. So I think maybe you should spend less time on Twitter and more time reporting the results when they're actually declared.
Let's just see how
That's
it
the
panned
Shadow
out
Chancellor.
for him.
So good of him to explain the whole process. They get the votes in and then they count them. Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you for your insight, you little expert.
He's an economist. He's good with figures.
Should we see how it panned out for him?
Ed Balls, in the last few minutes, Shadow Chancellor, lost his seat to the Conservatives.
Is that an R?
No, I think
This
some
is
people
the
would...
Shadow Chancellor.
No, some people were genuinely surprised, I think. There were some people who didn't know.
I'm sorry. I thought it was a wave of empathy.
Is David Dimbleby going to call him and go, have they been counted now, Ed?
Vince Cable says what?
Goodbye!
Vince Cable says, I'm absolutely sure we're going to bounce back.
Oh, he did say that afterwards.
Doesn't make any sense, does it? You're optimistic before, then
Yeah.
you realise you've done shit, stop being optimistic. Do you know what I mean? It's all gone wrong.
But that's real grit.
Just stop for a minute, please.
Yeah, it's too much, isn't it?
The Miliband has resigned.
Oh, my God!
As unexpected as I am to take on the leadership of the Labour Party, and indeed the Liberal Democrats and UKIP as well, I will emerge more together into one almighty union.
Everything we said is completely irrelevant.
So out of that 7, who's left? It's like the Magnificent
Nicola
Seven.
Sturgeon,
3 women are left.
Natalie
Clive
Bennett.
Cymru.
Has she not resigned yet?
Leanne Wood.
Oh, come on.
So that's...
A lot of pressure, isn't there? A lot of pressure.
So
They
who's
got
gone-
one seat.
They've
Give it
all
back to
gone
Caroline
all
Lucas.
the men have gone except Cameron.
Only the women have staying power.
You'll do anything for applause, won't you?
I'll do anything for a woman.
Goldman Sachs, they've been caught out, and the Americans are charging them with fraud. Goldman Sachs invented a bond to sell to people, which was based on subprime mortgages. So it was a pretty hopeless thing to sell to people. But they designed it to lose money, because one of their other clients was a big hedge fund manager who were betting on the bond to lose. So Goldman Sachs were selling this bond to you, saying this is terrific, and behind the back going to one of their clients, bet on this is complete rubbish. So Goldman Sachs basically proved that the entire financial collapse wasn't just an act of God or an accident, it was a fraud.
Can I just interrupt at this point?
Yeah.
Because I should make it plain, the law being as it is.
Yes.
Goldman calls the charges completely unfounded in law and fact.
What does Sachs say?
Yes. He completely agrees with him.
You get caught, you get caught.
Frankly, I can't see any of this making it into the finished programme.
Are you worried about libel?
Yes. Unlike you, I haven't ever been done for it before.
I think there's very little chance of you getting any more than 2 years.
Yeah. And anyway, Jeremy, backstage
gear.
he was saying what a bunch of crooks Goldman Sachs.
You could present your programme from your cell. The mission could be to walk from one end to the other in the shortest possible time.
Hackers, are they anonymous? I don't know where they're from.
No, we do know where they're from.
Where are they from?
They are from North Korea, it turns out.
Has that been proven?
Not totally proven. But they're not going to sue me, so I think... No, I think it probably is North Korea. There's something in the... Something in the code, when it was unhacked, indicated that it might have been from North Korea.
Giles, you know way too much about this.
Well, only because I did chair the Cybersecurity Awards quite recently. I can't tell you where or when.
Is that security or Alzheimer's?
You know what the virus was called? It's called WannaCry. It demands money before you can get your computer files back.
Oh, it was all in Bitcoins as well.
Bitcoins.
Bitcoins.
No, we've left the European market. No,
There's been a sort of failure of the government here, hasn't there? Or?
They were warned, I mean, at least 3 years ago, that XP needed updating. But the trouble with the NHS, it spent a lot of money on IT already, about 12 billion, for a system that didn't work. So essentially it doesn't have any money left, so they didn't pay for the update.
We've not upgraded the security properly, and we've been running the NHS on Windows XP, so people have probably been told that they're dying by a helpful paperclip.
I like the idea that as a hacker, you would target for a ransom the NHS.
Yeah.
One of the few world organisations you know doesn't have any money.
Probably given Jeremy Hunt some ideas about how to get money out of it. What must it be like being Jeremy Hunt at the moment? Imagine he goes into hospital. He'll be the first person to have a sprained wrist treated anally. Sorry, Mr. Hunt, this is going to involve a bit of a run-up. Luckily, our computers are down, so there's no record of what's about to happen to you.
This bit of malware was actually stolen from the American National Security Association, you know, which is a misnomer.
Well, I think President Trump gave it away.
Does anyone know what the Russians have said about it? Exactly that.
Well, they're claiming it's not them, because the Russian Interior Ministry was targeted.
That was a decoy.
You're so clever, Giles.
These are just things I picked up at the cybersecurity conference.
The Russians have said this completely doesn't concern Russia.
Richard, here's another for you.
Oh, yes, of course, it's the flag of the European Union. We know that. Yes, Nigel Farage, and he's on his way to a public ceremony. Gays are allowed to get married since Sunday. It's fantastic. Really good news, brilliant. And this couple here are amongst the first to actually, say the rights. They're now husband and husband. Fantastic news.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's a lovely story.
A lot of people think it won't last, but I'm all for
I
it.
think so. They've had a couple of arguments, a couple of them in public, but, they'll get together as a couple. They'll be absolutely fine.
I think it's the story about Nick Clegg and Nigel Farage having a TV debate.
And who do you think won?
I don't think either of them are truly winners, are they? I think you've got best loser.
According to Donald McIntyre in The Independent, journalists had been briefed that Nick Clegg was going to do something unusual during the debate. What was it?
He was going to show some passion.
Get emotional.
On a space hopper.
And did he get emotional?
He got a bit emotional.
He used his hands a lot, didn't he? Sort of, just to show emotion and stuff. He and he took his shirt off as well, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. As far as I understand it, yeah. They wrestled like men. I quite enjoyed the debate, and I think because of the way I watched it, because I didn't watch the pictures, I just had the audio. Then I turned the volume right down, and genuinely I enjoyed it.
Well, it's slightly odd. You're the Deputy Prime Minister, and you're taking on live television a man who hasn't got one MP. And he wins. This is supposed to be equal status.
Apparently, Clegg told Farage, "You're making things up to make a point," to which Farage replied, "You've done pretty well out of it."
In other mistake news, why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. This is... there's a... There's a computer program which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening. They tell us if I'm making it up, but I'm not, am I, David?
You're not making it up. The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces. Here's a quote from John Mackay Wilson's Tales of the Borders. Poor Janet shuddered at the words which she heard him utter, for with strange and wicked oaths he vowed vengeance on the individual who'd persecuted him, and she flung her anus around his neck and kissed his forehead. From Georgina Bragg's Matisse on the Loose, she grabbed my anus and positioned my body in the direction of the East Gallery, and we started walking. And in the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain who had been one of his comrades in anus. Are there any other words that Google Books scanning technology is confused?
Yeah, it can't do tax.
Yes, it reads tax as free. No, it's burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang Syne. They're not New Labour anymore. No. I hadn't noticed that. They're going to rebrand.
Yeah, Labour.
Labour Classic.
They couldn't call themselves New Labour when Blair left. It's like when Mike Nolan left Bucks Fizz. They couldn't call themselves Bucks Fizz anymore.
Labour could go with Bucks Fizz. Champagne socialists, but slightly diluted with orange juice. And the Lib Dems, what are they?
I think they're going to sit this election out.
Yeah.
That's probably...
They've got a note from their mother.
Yeah.
I think they'll play the sympathy vote to a certain extent. Just have Nick Clegg topless holding a puppy, just looking into the camera like that.
According to the Sunday Times, what has David Cameron decided to do?
Resign.
No.
Go on holiday.
No, this is about the TV debates.
He's going to debate with Nigel Farage. He's going for the toughest one first.
That's right. Cameron is going to take on Farage. According to the Sunday Times, Cameron wants the TV debates to be in a 2-3-5 formation. So that's Cameron Miliband, Clegg Miliband Cameron, and Farage Cameron Clegg Miliband with Yaya Toure behind the strikers. Thank you for laughing. I don't know what that meant.
Basically, Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
Yeah.
But people still might be sued for telling people that it was him, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. The MP, John Hemming, he said that apparently 75,000 people named Ryan Giggs on Twitter. It's not possible to arrest them all. Well, I mean, it's worth a go, though, isn't it? I mean, well, the thing is, the injunction is still in place.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Despite the people keep going blabbing it out, there's a legal expert, Joshua Rosenberg.
Yeah.
This is what he had to say about it, right?
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who brought these proceedings.
I'm pleased we can say his name, though, because I was getting so fed up. Every newspaper, every day, it was like, Imogen Thomas has been having sexual liaisons with a man who cannot be named. It's like, what, Voldemort?
Yeah.
I sort of see why he did it as well, Ryan Giggs. Because you get the superintelligence, he knows that if his identity was known, then people would know not only who he was, but also that his marriage was on the rocks. And at that point, John Terry would be round his house. Like a sex-crazed whippet.
Yes, the worst-kept secret in Britain is finally out. Lawyers are a complete waste of money. As the row unfolded, thousands of Twitter users named Ryan Giggs in what the Daily Mail called one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in modern times. Top that, Syria, lightweights.
How did News International senior executive James Murdoch boast about the way the company was handling the scandal only a week ago?
Well, he said that they've contained the scandal and it's now in a box.
Yeah. Yes, he said, we were really able to put this problem in a box marked fuck up.
He called him a mafia don.
Yeah.
Which isn't nice, is it?
Well, they were very upset about it, and they sent me a letter of complaint.
Really?
Pinned to a horse's head.
What happens to the rest of the horse? I mean, doesn't anyone ever get a horse's arse?
I suppose it must be for more minor misdemeanours, you know.
What, a horse's arse? I think it'd be worse than a horse's head. Wouldn't you waking up next to a horse's arse?
It's like... I
hope you know there's something personal about that.
You might say that a horse's arse was more flirtatious, though.
Flirtatious?
That's an odd word to pick.
That's an interesting window into your life, David.
What, according to The Observer, did Rupert Murdoch do when Gordon Brown became PM and initiated an investigation into the phone hacking?
He phoned up number 10.
After the Guizy?
Yeah.
Their source was an ex-minister who wants to remain anonymous.
Do you think, though, that Murdoch could just ring up number 10 during your time there?
I know nothing.
You know nothing? Is that why you were in the cabinet?
So what did you think of him then?
What, Gordon?
Yeah, he was all right, wasn't he?
He was the Prime Minister.
Yeah. Then you can't have a more ringing endorsement than that.
The News of the World may be dead, but its wretched ghost continues to haunt. The News of the World paid a private investigator to carry out surveillance on the hacking victim's lawyer, Mark Lewis, which involved following the ex-wife of Mr. Lewis and his teenage daughter as they visited a branch of Tesco. Well, if you're looking to intimidate someone, every little helps.
Oh, yes, this is the happy news of the mine has been released, although apparently viewers are getting rather fed up with the coverage because it's all rather similar. So the last 15 miners are going to be part of a lottery game where they're going to be holding up a number, and if you've got the number at home, it's your chance to win... What was that?
Somebody winning the lottery.
Oh, somebody winning the lottery.
Do you know what the sequence of events was for each rescued miner?
They got in a thing, and they took them out.
Yeah.
They got out of the thing.
Pretty much. According to the Times, the claustrophobic escape capsule takes 15 minutes to travel 700 metres. If you want to imagine what that's like, take a trip on the Northern Line. The 24-hour news channels have been enjoying this story, but there was just a hint that they might be running out of things to say. Let's have a look.
So far, the only miner to emerge from the tube with a beard.
Next, Peter Adams analyses Reginald's what?
It's got to be bonsai, isn't it?
Oak.
He analyses... Peter Adams analyses Reginald's tree and finds it isn't bonsai, it's just very far away.
No, it was bonsai. It was Peter Adams analyses Reginald's bonsai. Here's Peter Adams in Bonsai Focus. That's his actual size, obviously. Several celebrities own bonsai trees, such as Ronnie Corbett. He likes a bit of shade.
Does Tom Cruise have a bonsai as well?
Hey, don't slag Tom off, all right?
It was just a normal-sized tree.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's suffered enough.
Did you go and see him because you're going to have a remake of Twins, the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger film?
You should remake all of Arnie's films, actually. It'd be
You have been well and truly rumbled
The
there.
Terminator.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'm telling you that. I will be back. I'll bloody be back. I'll tell you that. I'll be back.
Big Commando facing all those people. Oh, watch it, lads. Someone's going to get hurt.
Is there any other impressions you do other than me?
I do Tony Blair, but then I sound like him anyway.
Offend someone in Tony Blair's voice.
You know...
That's it, I'm offended.
And so, to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
That's a cake, isn't it? It's the Great British Bake Off winner, that is. So there was talk about there being some misogyny. Some people on the internet were very harsh about some of the contestants, I believe. Go on, what is it now?
We were just going to tell you who the people were. The gentleman on the left is Monsieur Raymond Blanc, the television chef, and he tweeted what appeared to be a sarcastic remark about the winner 24 hours before the winner was announced, and possibly spoilt the whole competition.
But he got it wrong, because it wasn't the winner.
Indeed, he said, you know, French is my second language. Theresa May then phoned up and said, oh, you're some froggy waller, are you? Well, get out! Get out!
This is what he tweeted. The Great British Bake Off, not much skills, female tears, and a winner so thin who makes me doubt her love for great cooking, baking. Who did that text refer
Ruby.
to?
It referred to Ruby.
That's Ruby.
Ah, yes.
But you can't really tell how thin she is there, because she could have, like, a really massive body under there. Must have more photos of myself taken from that height.
And this is the winner.
Francis. Right. And a lot of Bake Off fans were furious. Yeah. What did former finalist Mary-Anne Boormans compare the situation to? Do you know?
No.
The end of the Crimean War.
She said it was like someone saying Snape killed Dumbledore before you've read the book.
Good grief.
Have you all read Harry Potter?
Yeah. Oh, no! My children and grandchildren are watching this. You've just ruined 7 people's childhood.
Well, good. Let's see what Frances said about her personality. My key ingredients are a dollop of randomness, a teaspoon of wonder, a pinch of eccentricity, a drop of serendipity, a handful of curiosity, a fluid ounce of fun, and a cup of cold sick. So, this is the grand final of Bake Off, which I watched this week. It was contested by 3 female cooks, which is odd because I happen to know for a fact that the best bakers are all male, and they're all called Greg. One of the finalists, Ruby Tando, received a lot of coverage for her looks. She complained, saying, if I see one more person use the pun doe-eyed, I will personally go to their house and force-feed them an entire Charlotte Royale. Ruby, you're doe-eyed. Yeah. That's dough with an O-U-G-H. If I'm not at home, leave it with my neighbour.
It's now time for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. Ming the mollusk, Glenn Greenwald's phone, Bert Kwok, and the E. coli 0157.
Well, I think it's called Ming the mollusk because it's 500 years old and dates back to the Ming dynasty. And scientists found it, didn't know how old it was, killed it.
Killed it.
And then discovered it was the oldest animal that they think has ever lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can get ill from eating those. Yeah. E. coli can make you ill.
Absolutely. Bert Kwok, is it the actor or is it the part he's playing there in the Pink Panther films as Kato? It's the actor.
It's the part.
It's
he's
the
playing
part.
Kato.
Give us a clue.
Yeah.
Containing the answer. Oh, cold. Cold.
Oh, right, OK. Yes, Kato was hidden in a fridge.
Yes.
He was hiding in a fridge in one of the films, shot in the dark, I think, and he comes, bang. So it's about people being put in fridges. The mollusk was should have been put in a fridge and it would have survived. Kato jumped out of a fridge, he was all right. The E. coli bacteria is all right if you freeze it. And it's the bloke with the phone.
His phone was
the
hidden
fridge
in a
thing was right. Everything else was wrong, but I'm still going to give you a point because I feel like we should move on.
No, but the other one out was Glenn Greenwald's phone.
No, it wasn't. Stop taking over. You can do that on your radio show, which is on at 3:30.
Have you got a radio show?
Yeah, Mondays 2 p.m.
I'm going to write that down.
The odd one out is Ming the mollusk.
Ming the mollusk?
All the others have survived a stint in the freezer, except for Ming the mollusk, who died. Glenn Greenwald, the former Guardian journalist who was involved in the publication of the intelligence emails leaked by Edward Snowden, regularly used to put his phone in the freezer. Why would he do that?
He was worried it would be bugged.
Or security, yes. There's an even more effective place you can put your phone to stop anyone hacking it. Any ideas?
Is that News International HQ?
A martini shaker.
Oh, OK.
E. coli 0157, one of the nastiest strains of E. coli, can survive in the fridge or the freezer. How old were you when you first got colonised by an E. coli bacterium, Janet?
Funnily enough, I had amoebic dysentery when I was 7. And I was actually in hospital.
How on earth did you get that? I thought that was...
I got it in Fulham. I grew up quite near you, Paul.
Yes.
I think it's something you sent from Fulham Palace Road to my
Oh,
road.
I used to send out those parcels all the time.
Ming the mollusk was an ocean quahog, a type of clam. How easy is it to date a clam?
Well, you have to get them drunk first.
There's an app called Chowder.
You need to watch out for chlamydia, though. It's quite... No, I've never dated a clam before.
No.
Pulled a few muscles. But if nothing else, this story brought out a certain solidarity amongst headline writers. What do you think The Independent, The Mirror and The Mail all went with for their headline?
Clam dead after 500 years. No, that wouldn't be very good, would it? Shuts.
Clam shuts. Clam shell, clam shut, clam...
Cheers. Cry.
yes. Clam claps mime artist. No.
Are you taking the piss? You know what it is now.
No. You do. This is what stupid people look like.
I've never seen anyone worse at charades than you.
No. That is a very good clam mime.
We got the clam
Oh,
bit.
sorry. The sad bit, the sorrow. What would happen? Oh, damn, it's such a...
A shame.
Crocodile.
What a shame! Calamity! Ian!
No, that's terrible.
Oh, Ian, it's obviously terrible. It's a calamity. I'm not mad, am I? You all got that.
What were the tears for? How would that lead us to calamity as a
That
pun?
was useless.
Right, you're all going. You can be the panellist now. Come on. It's now time for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. Ming the mollusk, Glenn Greenwald's phone, Bert Kwok, and the E. coli 0157.
Well, I think it's called Ming the mollusk because it's 500 years old and dates back to the Ming Dynasty. And scientists found it, didn't know how old it was, killed it. And then discovered it was the oldest animal that they think has ever lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can get ill from eating those.
Yeah.
E. coli can make you ill.
Absolutely. Bert Kwok, is it the actor or is it the part he's playing there in the Pink Panther films as Kato? It's the actor.
It's the part.
It's
he's
the
playing
part.
Kato.
Give us a clue.
Yeah.
Containing the answer. Oh, cold. Cold.
Oh, right, OK. Yes, Kato was hidden in a fridge.
Yes.
He was hiding in a fridge in one of the films, Shot in the Dark, I think, and he comes, bang. So it's about people being put in fridges. The mollusk should have been put in a fridge and it would have survived. Kato jumped out of a fridge, he was all right. The E. coli bacteria is all right if you freeze it, and it's the bloke with the phone.
His phone was
the
hidden
fridge
in the
thing was right. Everything else was wrong, but
Yeah,
I'm still
good.
going to give you a point because I feel like we should move on.
No, but the other one out was Glenn Greenwald's phone.
No, it wasn't. Stop taking over. You can do that on your radio show, which is on at 3:30.
Have you got a radio show?
Yeah, Mondays, 2 p.m.
I'm going to write that down.
The odd one out is Ming the mollusk.
Ming the mollusk.
All the others have survived a stint in the freezer, except for Ming the mollusk, who died. Glenn Greenwald, the former Guardian journalist who was involved in the publication of the intelligence emails leaked by Edward Snowden, regularly used to put his phone in the freezer. Why would he do that?
He was worried it would be bugged.
Or security, yes. There's an even more effective place you can put your phone to stop anyone hacking it. Any ideas?
Is that News International HQ?
A martini shaker.
Oh, OK.
E. coli 0157, one of the nastiest strains of E. coli, can survive in the fridge or the freezer. How old were you when you first got colonised by an E. coli bacterium, Janet?
Funnily enough, I had amoebic dysentery when I was 7. And I was actually in hospital.
How on earth did you get that? I thought that was...
I got it in Fulham. I grew up quite near you, Paul.
Yes.
I think it's something you sent from Fulham Palace Road to my
Oh, I
road.
used to send out those parcels all the time.
Ming the mollusk was an ocean quahog, a type of clam. How easy is it to date a clam?
Well, you have to get them drunk first.
There's an app called Chowder.
You need to watch out for chlamydia, though. It's quite... No, I've never dated a clam before.
No.
Pulled a few muscles. But if nothing else, this story brought out a certain solidarity amongst headline writers. What do you think The Independent, The Mirror and The Mail all went with for their headline?
Clam dead after 500 years. No, that wouldn't be very good, would it? Shuts.
Clam shut. Clam shell, clam shut, clam...
Tears, cry.
Yes. Clam claps mime artist. No.
Are you taking the piss? You know what it is now.
No. You do. This is what stupid people look like.
I've never seen anyone worse at charades than you.
No. That is a very good clam mime.
We got the clam
Oh,
bit.
sorry. The sad bit, the sorrow. What would happen? Oh, damn, it's such a...
A shame.
Crocodile.
What a shame! Calamity! Ian!
No, that's terrible.
Oh, Ian, it's obviously terrible. It's a calamity. I'm not mad, am I? You all got that.
What were the tears for? How would that lead us to calamity as a
That
pun?
was useless.
Right, you're all going. You can be the panellist now. Come on.
This is the most powerful number, 7.
Is that right? They did a survey. I must have read this somewhere.
They have. They've done a survey, and 7 is the world's favourite number.
Ah, favourite number.
Yes. Alex Bellos asked 44,000 people to submit their favourite number, and 7 proved the most popular. He describes it as the loner, the outsider, the Nigel Farage of the number 1. Shall we go through the top 10 world's favourite numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's at number 1? Number 10, sorry.
So, number 10, what do you think?
Number 9's number 10.
Nope.
Number 8's number 10.
No.
Number 10's number 10.
No.
Number one.
No.
2.
No, all numbers are available.
Oh, 128.
No, at number 10, the 10th most popular number is, in fact, 11. At 9...
It's 10.
No.
40.
No.
21.
No.
100.
At number 9 is the number 2. 2. Most popular number in 8th position is 6. At 7, the 7th most popular number is 9, and the 6th most popular number is 13. OK, here's the top 5.
This is going to be on Channel 4 for a whole evening. There'll be some talking heads in a minute. What do you think of 6? Yeah, love it.
I've always liked 5 because it's a working class number. That's what I like about 5. Well, I think that 3, for me, I mean, when I was first growing up, I thought 3 was a magnificent... Oh, sorry. I've started auditioning. Sorry. Where am I?
But let's firstly complete the top 5.
Yeah.
At number 5 is 5.
Yeah,
And number 4 is 4.
Yes.
And number 3 is 8.
Oh.
At number 2...
1.
Is 3.
3.
The magic number, and of course 7 is the top one at number 1. But the study did ask people to describe the numbers between 1 and 10. 2 was thought to be cautious, wise, fragile and sympathetic. How do you think 3 was described?
Nostalgic, sexy, unreliable.
3 is pretentious.
Oh, God.
4, according to the people who responded to the survey, is laid back and a rogue. Yeah, this is absolute bollocks, isn't it?
Nigel Farage.
According to the Daily Telegraph, in musical terms, a song is an unlikely combination of choral and rap, known as crap.
I think I'd rather like that.
What?
Zadok.
Really good.
You'll never guess what I just imagined. I imagined that was empty.
It's the best reaction I've ever got out of Paul.
You've never said before. Oh, well, that's guaranteed that to be in, otherwise you won't explain this to anybody. Oh, dear.
Fingers on buzzers teams for the next one.
Have they shut the Humber Bridge to stop people going to Hull?
Stop people going to Hull?
Yeah.
They don't want any more tourists. They've got enough.
Maybe they're trying a new slogan, Hull, one letter different from hell. Could be it, couldn't it?
Well, you're in the right neighbour. Both of you in the right neighbourhood.
John Prescott's from Hull, or he's MP for Hull.
Yeah.
That's why they just close Hull.
Yes. He's not an MP anymore, is he? Other than being no, he's
Member of the House of Lords.
Oh right, he's a lord in Hull as well.
Is he the Lord of Hull?
Well, I don't know.
I am the Lord of Hull.
It is to do with Hull, but it's actually The Economist magazine. They have a very specific view on Hull.
It should be shut down. Is that what they...
Absolutely right, yes. The Economist magazine thinks that the city should be closed down along with Burnley, Middlesbrough and Hartlepool.
Closed down?
Just closed down.
Why?
The Economist described any efforts to save struggling northern communities as misguided. You lived in Leeds, didn't you?
Yeah, I was born in Leeds.
You were born in Leeds?
Yeah.
Should they close that down?
Leeds is doing very well. It's
Is it doing-
thriving.
Have you heard of Leeds, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a football team in Leeds, isn't there?
There is. Leeds United. Yeah.
You see? Local knowledge.
Paul, any view on Leeds?
So good they named it once.
Yes, this is The Economist magazine's plan to shut Hull. Grim, dull and uninspiring. The Economist comes out every week.
Paul and John, here's another for you.
Oh, cricket, obviously, black and white. The Pope. What's that? The Holy Beach Ball of Lords. What's that? Nuns. At least one of them's a man. I can see from here. The Vatican's got its own cricket team.
It has. Do you know what they're called?
The Angels, the Saints, the Pope's cricket team, the Vatican 11.
They're called the St Peter's Cricket Club. And if you ask for an LBW decision, they'll deny you 3 times, apparently. Yes, get those references in. Yes, sorry, Giles. What does the Pope think of it?
Yeah, they have 6-day matches, but never 7.
The Pope is really into football.
He is indeed, as we can see here in this photo. Oh, bollocks, it's not coming. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm being quite unprofessional tonight. It's hormones, everyone. It's not really. I haven't got any hormones in my body anymore, thank God. My husband's pleased. I haven't assaulted him for months. Do you know what Father Theodore Mascarenhas, the Vatican Cricket Club president, had to say? By the way, to give you a clue, he's an Indian spin bowler and he moves the ball in a mysterious way. Sorry. Well, he said, we hope that one day we will be able to translate silly mid-off into Latin. Want to have a crack at that, Giles?
My Latin is terrible. For years I thought in loco parentis meant my dad's an engine driver.
Julius Caesar used to tell that one.
Oh!
Right, Paul and Marcus.
There's a woman being inflated on the beach.
Yeah, that's the girl who was accused of being a Russian spy because she went out with a politician. They found that she wasn't a Russian spy, she was just a Russian.
Yep, you're quite right.
They thought she was a spy. She used to go into the House of Commons canteen and say, these sausages are rather cold for this time of year. Sort of, the seagull flies high above Krakow. It sounded like secret messages.
I think they actually thought she was a spy because she made a beeline for a member of the Liberal Democratic Party.
So not very well informed, then?
No. They thought, what other reason could there possibly be?
It's phoning the Kremlin going, they are going to make corduroy compulsory.
Indeed, this is Katya Zytyleviter, who had...
I know, you bet you've practised that, haven't you?
Конечно.
Yeah, it was very good.
That's all my Russian.
That's very good. You just learned her name and that was it?
No, конечно. I just said of course.
Of course as well, blimey.
Здравствуйте. Меня зовут Кирсти. Как тебя зовут?
Oh!
Very good.
Hold on a minute, I just want to ring MI5.
Yeah, exactly. You're falling for the oldest trick in the book. We invited you onto this show. This show's not going out this week. These are cardboard figures. That's not Giles Brandon, that's a puppet. For the Muppet Show. It was.
Now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Reg Transfers, the magazine for the world of personal number plates. And we start with Simon Cowell reveals what?
Reveals his number plate.
You probably can't see Simon Cowell's number plate for all the cigarette smoke billowing around his pregnant girlfriend. Did you see? There were pictures of... Did you not see that?
Were people smoking?
There's a picture of him in a car, fagging away, pregnant girlfriend in the passenger seat.
Unbelievable. I thought he was evil before, but...
Simon Cowell reveals his baby name choice is Simon.
Oh.
The baby's due in February. Simon Cowell's already got a high chair, some tiny clothes and a booster seat. All he needs now is to get some stuff for the baby. Next, Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding what?
Is it complete as it is? Just been hiding?
That's the Nazi art.
Masterpieces, yeah.
I will give you that. Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding secret Nazi art stash.
Yeah.
All the paintings were confiscated in the early 1940s, or as art historians call it, Hitler's angry period. Next, in Essex, we all have what?
Automatic weapons. An intrinsic knowledge of our local area. Personalised number plates.
Personalised plates.
Yeah.
There we are, yes. In Essex, we all have personal plates. I wanted my initials on my car, but I didn't fancy splashing out in a personalised number plate, so I just bought a second-hand AA van. Brilliant. Next, police dogs will receive what?
I know this.
Go on, then.
Pensions. They're going to get pensions.
Pensions?
Absolutely right.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody said truncheon meat.
Now, they did. That response is the reason why nobody did.
Next, George W. Bush planning what?
A gallery, an exhibition.
Yeah.
He's going to open an exhibition.
Yeah, but that's almost there, yes. He's planning to paint a series of... He's planning to paint a... Oh, Lord.
George W. Bush planning to paint
portrait series of world leaders.
God, we used to accuse him of not being able to read.
Yeah. According to the Telegraph, he is also known to dabble in landscapes, as the people of Iraq know only too well. And finally, David Suchet admits to what when playing Poirot?
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. What is it?
Yes, he's got a penny up his arse, hasn't he? So it helps him mince the walk.
Oh, absolutely right, yep. David Suchet admits to clenching a penny between his buttocks when playing Poirot.
Which he learned from Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
Who I think had more than pennies up his arse at one stage.
Right down to the line, Godfrey.
Sorry. I know you won't ask me back.
So, the final...
The Telegraph, thousands of people lining the streets have given the relay a carnival feel. For example, someone dressed as a cod and another as a chip in Falmouth. You Brits really know how to put on a show.
You wait till you see our opening ceremony.
There'll be hundreds of chips.
6 or 7 cod.
Morris in a giant cod costume.
This is the Olympic torch, which is boldly going where no Olympic torch has gone before. Namely, yes, I agree with you. Namely, Truro and Ilfracombe.
Sounds deeply sexual.
Kind of like a cigar advert. Have you been to Ilfracombe?
I have.
The place is laced with prostitution.
That's their new slogan now.
That's right. Come and get laid in Ilfracombe.
Ian and Max,
Yes.
here's another for you.
Oh, good.
It's a train.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a proper train. That's the 2 heads. That's better than one. But not in this case.
It's about investment and infrastructure, yes. Well, you know, they're building this enormous boondoggle up north, Ian, and they're...
Is that a technical term?
Yes, boondoggle. It's economics is called big frickin' waste of money. And, you know, if you really want to connect the country and get the economy going, give everyone free access to broadband.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to take the train.
You can't get to Birmingham fast enough. You can in your virtual self. Impossible.
Yeah, so this is the wise investment / catastrophic waste of billions of taxpayers' money that
Because
is...
the Labour Party have decided now, it was their idea originally to do it, but now that the Tories want to do it, they don't want to do it anymore.
And did you hear the actual words of the dire warning from the government about the consequences if Labour do not? And
No, I'd like to hear you say it.
The precise words were years and years of gridlock, weekend cancellations, hellish journeys and replacement bus services. It's just hard to imagine what that would be like, isn't it? Do you know this week's figure of how much it's going to cost?
I think it's 130 zillion.
The government's current budget is 50 billion, although one independent study says it's going to cost 80 billion.
But you've got Mark Carney now as the Bank of England. He can just print it. Just print 80 billion. Just print it. That's fine. That's what he does. That's what he's there for. Print more money. Doesn't matter if it's 100 billion, 200 billion. Just print.
No downside to that?
Well, unless you include inflation. As long as you don't mind paying extra for energy and food, it's okay. Just keep printing money.
OK, let's have the train.
Bail out the bankers. Bail out. Just print money. It's fine. You put the money in the train and take it to Birmingham.
Listen, Max, 1 hour, 20 minutes to Birmingham. It's too long.
like an hour. Too long. I got stuff to do in Birmingham.
Very busy. Very busy man.
I got concrete to pour.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Doesn't pour itself, you know.
It doesn't.
Doesn't pour itself.
I don't care how many billions it costs. That shaves 20 minutes off of me getting to Birmingham and pouring concrete.
Time now for the odd one out round. It's just one between you this week. A dog in Thailand. Scott Mann, MP, Judith Strang from Texas, and Damien Green. Yes.
Now, Scott Mann, colleague of Johnny's,
Yeah.
and I believe there was an incident where Johnny actually saved his life from drowning. So I'm guessing that he is perhaps the odd one out in that the other three all float.
Is that right? Did you save his life?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because I thought he had my wallet, actually.
He got sacked from the Tory party, or did he resign?
Damien Green's still an MP. He was Deputy Prime Minister and then had a slight...
There was some porn found on a computer that he had access to, and the other three people featured in the film he was watching.
They've all been rescued at sea, apart from Damien Green, who had to be rescued from a river. He was thrown in as part of a student prank while studying at Oxford University. But more recently, who did Damien Green have a run-in with outside Parliament?
Yeah, so there's a set of protesters that are, like, permanently outside Parliament, so that when anyone goes on TV, they just heckle with quite amusing abuse, to be honest, some of it. But obviously some of it's not. And Damien Green came off an interview and met this chap who's dressed in a European flag and told him that in a contested field, you are by far the biggest here. No. And he was right.
Let's have a look.
Hello, can I ask how you're feeling about the vote yesterday?
No, you can't, because you just tried to shout over an interview I've done, like you do everyone else.
I didn't. I was singing.
You are the biggest wanker.
Where did this dog end up at sea?
Australia.
Hawaii. Same 5G company we're talking about.
Not quite. It was spotted last week by oil rig workers in Thailand, 135 miles from shore.
Wow.
Who threw that stick?
Wow.
And finally, where did Judith Strang from Texas end up in the sea?
On holiday, was it? On holiday somewhere?
Yes, she was on a tour of...
The fjords.
She was in Iceland. She sat down on some ice which had formed in the shape of a throne and was promptly carried out to sea.
How hot is her arse?
The iceberg incident happened a couple of weeks ago, after which the accident-prone granny completed her tour of Europe with a trip to Paris, where she lit a candle in Notre Dame.
Now, that really is enough about the government's bad week. Oh, no, sorry. Andy Coulson. Where did he unexpectedly find himself this week?
In the back of a cop car heading to Scotland.
Because?
Because they want to have a word.
I had absolutely no idea that you were a gangster.
Andy Coulson.
He's been arrested for perjury.
Yes.
During a trial where someone else was on trial for perjury.
Yes.
While he was actually working for the Prime Minister, which is pretty shocking. Are you shocked, Alistair?
I'm shocked.
You. I'm glad you're shocked, because, you know, some of the people that this government have been hanging about with... Rebecca Brooks? Know her at all?
I do.
Were you shocked when she was
shocked.
arrested?
I've been shocked by lots of things, Ian.
He's been charged, though, not just arrested.
Yeah.
He's been charged.
He's been charged.
Which is why Ian's being so careful.
Yeah.
About Andy Coulson, if not about me.
Well, they haven't charged you yet.
Is it hot in here?
And in case anyone thinks I'm being gratuitous, I know that Alistair is going to be reasonable tonight, because he told Leveson, I am robust, but I'm not a bully. So no matter what anyone says, you're going to be really reasonable.
Tonight? No.
That's good, though, to remember. Like, if your kid gets caught, like, kicking a fat kid, just go, no, he's not a bully, just robust. He's robust.
It probably seemed like a good idea when you said yes.
In a bid to make sure this never happens again, of course, Lord Strathclyde has announced he's going to do a rapid review into curbing the House of Lords' powers. I'll give you a bonus point if any of you can give me the real name of Lord Strathclyde.
Bunty.
Is it one of those bonkers long names?
Yes, he's called Thomas Galloway Dunlop de Roy de Bleaky Galbraith. Another man of the people.
Well, he's also got product placement in the middle of his name.
Yes.
He just can't trust the Tories.
Did he change his name in wet weather?
Several of the papers identified one clear supervillain in all this. Who was that?
Well, apart from the obvious one.
Who's the obvious one?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yes. Mega-rich musical gargoyle, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Musical gargoyle.
He flew in from New York to vote for tax credit cuts. It was his first vote in over 2 years. He's previously voted just 30 times out of a possible 1,898 in 14 years. But he did deny he had flown back specifically for the vote. Does anyone know why he says he was in town?
He was here for an opening of one of his productions somewhere.
A new musical called Cuts.
Yes, he did say he was in town to watch the revival of Cats, the musical. Yeah. But surely he's seen that already. Or maybe he's just got a bad memory. News this week, with talk of lockdown easing, some people are back in training for the morning commute.
This train terminates at West Hampstead.
You can tell that footage is fake. There's someone reading The Economist.
It's likely there'll be some government advice about the wearing of face masks. Would you like to see how the Belgian Minister for Face Masks got on when he visited a face mask factory?
Absolutely.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this incredibly awkward moment.
En dan is het kwestie van je mondmasker nog goed aan te doen.
Chris, I'm sorry you didn't see that, but trust me, you could teach him a thing or two about how to put a face mask on.
For the people at home, by the way, I've had a lot of these videos just before we filmed. I had them described to me, so I've already done me laughing.
Right.
I'd also like to say as well, I'm very aware that I might not, because I can't see the camera, I've got this little earpiece in, my gaze might kind of drift. And if it makes anyone feel awkward at home, just move to your left a bit.
Typical BBC advice. Always trying to smuggle in the agenda. I can spot it.
David Cameron was kind of the main act. What did you make of his speech?
Well, I mean, again, he's quite competent. He doesn't mess up the autocue. He got some applause. He did some stuff in the middle. He quoted Kipling, the poet, not the cake maker.
Don't patronise me! To be fair, I always thought it was pronounced Kapling.
It's National Poetry Day today, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, not tomorrow, obviously, when we're showing, so that ruins that.
This isn't live!
It's barely breathing.
How did you feel about him having a go at your friend Jeremy Corbyn, Diane?
Well, it's certainly not the kinder, gentler politics.
He did say in his speech, Jeremy Corbyn, he said, "My friends, we cannot let that man inflict his security-threatening, terrorist-sympathising, Britain-hating ideology on the country we love." This was in reference to an interview Corbyn gave in 2011 where he said it was a tragedy bin Laden had been assassinated rather than tried in an international court. BBC News didn't mention that nuance in their coverage of Cameron's speech because they've still got a licence fee to defend.
And so to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
It's the London Marathon. There was a row with the Guinness Book of Records about whether this nurse should get a record for doing the shortest time dressed as a nurse. And Guinness said she doesn't look like a nurse, because I think the people at Guinness had perhaps been watching different videos of nurses than the training ones now on offer. And she rightly appealed this, and she now is the quickest nurse in the business. I mean, this is your area, so, I mean, you must know.
Well, yes, it is my area, kind of.
You held
Obviously
your
not running. I did do a walk from Hull to Liverpool for sport relief. Yeah, that was pretty amazing, because that was like 20 miles a day for a week. And they did tell me that I would burn 6,000 calories a day. Unfortunately, I ate 9,000 a day. This nurse is called Jessica Anderson, and you were right. She was wearing trousers, OK? As you said, she was ineligible, because that's
she was wearing
not
scrubs,
what...
wasn't
Scrubs,
she?
that's right, yeah. According to Guinness, the guidelines said a proper nurse's uniform should include a pinafore and a cap. When did they write those rules? 1850s? Actually, the Daily Mail helpfully provided us with a photo of a marathon-running nurse that falls within Guinness guidelines. Here we are. What actually made them change their mind about her world record?
Well, didn't she appeal?
She did. She pointed out the inherent sexism, and they released a statement saying, "Our guidelines were outdated, incorrect, and reflected a stereotype we do not in any way wish to perpetuate," even though they just did. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Am I meant to be doing this again? I've kind of...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've still got a bit more of this, haven't we? Thanks, Paul.
No, we like seeing it.
Oh, what? Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
that was completely out of sync.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Hang on. No.
That was quite bad.
That was quite bad. You'd have to do it all again.
This is a shambles.
Hang on.
Might as well be
What's going on,
politicians.
Steve? We can't replace them now. What are you talking about? Too late. Put the hammer down.
My husband often says that to me. OK. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is a story about someone who stole a piece of Stonehenge. And you'd have thought they would have noticed. I mean, look, there he is.
Yeah.
Wasn't very subtle about it. He kept it and he took it to America, and he's finally returned it because after all these decades, he's got bored of a bit of stone.
His name's Robert Phillips. He stole it in the 1950s when a restoration team drilled metal supports into some of the stones to keep them in position. He's just turned 90. Kept it as a memento. Why is he returning it after 60 years?
Was he sick of cars slowing down in front of his house to have a look?
He was worried about what would happen to it after his death. The sarsen stone... Don't ask me what a sarsen stone is, it just says it's a type
one of the stones. They're different types. The standing ones and sarsen ones.
The top ones.
What a dork.
You're not denying it.
That's a completely different type of stone, which is around the perimeter.
Do you like Stonehenge?
I love Stonehenge. I used to go there when you could go up there and help in the building.
We start with the bigger election stories of the week. Ian and Romesh, take a look at this.
Trying to get out of the country. No, this is the race to get the first result in while people are still awake.
So woman can't count. Just devastated. Ed Miliband looking chilled out.
They're shouting at him.
Oh, so relaxed. You're an immigrant? No.
This is the throne.
The legend.
This way. And it's the winner.
I hate you.
Oh, there's balance. These are all people who've gone. Liberals, Hughes, poor old Danny Alexander.
Have I won?
No. No, he stayed in as punishment. And then it's goodbye. It was quite exciting because everyone said it was unpredictable, meaning they got it wrong. So we had this exit poll when we came out, which more or less told you what the result would be, which is a Tory win, except they'd understated the win. And then everyone spent the rest of the evening going, well, if this poll's right, oh, God, it is right.
I'm just going to step to see if the exit poll's right. I know. I've stayed up for no reason. Okay.
They had Paddy Ashdown on at the beginning of the evening saying, if that exit poll's right, I'm going to eat my hat. Typical Lib Dem. The end of the evening, they gave him a hat. Did he keep his promise?
You're absolutely right, Ian.
It was the election.
Yeah, it was.
It was the election.
It was the election.
Oh, I think we've nailed that question.
Now, fingers on buzzers, teams. This is Jamie Oliver. He's got into trouble because he's come up for a recipe for paella, which the Spaniards don't agree is paella, and so he's got into trouble because of that.
Because he's added chorizo.
Chorizo.
Uh-oh, chorizo.
Yeah.
Bad. I don't know what that is.
Plus, some people don't find it very appetising because it's got a picture of his face right in the middle of it.
Some of the abuse was pretty bad, eh? They said, why don't you go and make chicken nuggets out of your own fingers?
Yeah, a Spanish man, Antonio Villarreal, tweeted, my version of fish and chips combines aubergine with duck. And one Daily Mail commenter added, Jamie, I voted for Brexit because you said you would leave the country if we won. Why are you still here? But why? Why are people so angry?
This is cultural appropriation, which, you know,
But
essentially...
I've had chorizo in paella in Spain. In lots of the... Like,
yeah,
lots
but
of times.
you are not allowed to say this is my recipe for paella because you're not Spanish. Like, if you cook spaghetti bolognese, anyone who cooks it tonight is guilty of cultural appropriation. The only thing we are allowed to cook is fish fingers. That is Britain in Brexit future.
You should just have called it paella a la Gibraltar, and then... No, your wife is Spanish.
Yes.
What would happen if you put a bit of chorizo in the paella?
Oh, well, there are very strict rules what should and shouldn't go into a paella. And
Finally, something Nick's expert on.
Can anyone tell me what Jamie has named his newborn son?
Is it food-related?
Yeah.
Basil.
Oh,
non-stick frying pan.
George Foreman.
What's going to happen at Buckingham Palace at precisely 12:30 a.m?
Oh, they're turning the lights off.
They absolutely are.
And all the foreign crews are furious because their audiences will have just woken up. So when all the American broadcasters want to stand outside Buckingham Palace and say, here I am live, it's going to be completely dark. Selfish of us. Why couldn't we time the wedding to be in the middle of the night here? Then the Americans could watch. And I hope there are ad breaks so that NBC can shove in an advert for... What is it? Nachos they have?
According to the Telegraph, Kate has invited her very first boyfriend, Willem Marks.
I like Williams that are too posh to bother with the E bit.
It's very posh.
Willem. What's your name?
Is it Bill, Will, William, Willem? There's even a video wedding book for the public to sign. So let's have a look at some of the messages of goodwill and affection that have been left so far. Royal wedding will cost in one day half what the UK spends yearly on help for the unemployed.
Oh, lovely.
May their long and happy marriage be the last one of the monarchy of the UK. Vast numbers of people couldn't give the tiniest shit. Do I need to do these number 6 ones?
Helen Mirren.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, that's
right.
nice. We'd all like to do Helen Mirren, but we don't do a bloody quiz show, mate. That's what we're doing here.
Helen Mirren played the Queen, of course.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
And here she is talking about John Gielgud on BBC Breakfast News.
So that always inspired me. He always took kind of edgy choices.
Yes, and he swore a lot, as I remember. And there was
well, in that sort of wonderful voice you had.
Exactly. that was
you
the
little
comedy.
shit. He
Oh,
said,
no, you can't say it.
Sorry.
Take that back. That never happened.
It was in the original
pre-recording this time.
If you heard that, we're very sorry.
And he said he didn't say it, and then the policeman came out and said he won't answer the question. But he had a tape going in which he said, I admit I swore, and I'm sorry about that.
He was wearing a wire. And the feds didn't realise he turned the tables against them.
Well, how long did the original incident actually last, the actual incident?
45 seconds.
45 seconds. And so far it's cost...
£250,000
Yes, it has. Yes.
to investigate.
Can we get the Chinese pay for that?
160 million people in China watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But they must really not have liked him. There must have been a build-up of animosity towards him.
Yeah, do you think he'd ridden up to the gates most days and said, open it?
Yeah.
Maybe...
Clapping his hands. Open, come on! Bike here, eco!
You know, it's a terrible dilemma. Do you believe a Tory member of the cabinet or a policeman? You know, public's got a real problem there.
Police whistleblower has actually come forward. You mentioned that.
They're all
about talking about a
whistleblowers,
result.
They're all whistleblowers. They all blow whistles.
I don't think they do anymore.
Okay. Logically, it doesn't work.
Mobile phone. When this show began, you could have done that joke. I don't mean today. I mean 20 years ago.
I felt tense because you went very quiet. And I thought, oh God, I've cut across a friend of Tom Cruise's.
Well, a whistleblower has come forward with the result of a plot to get Mitchell. And he says that Mitchell had a row at the gates the previous evening as well, after which one of the officers had said, right, we can stitch him up. I love the idea that they actually said it like you would in the Beano.
When he said Margaret Thatcher did great hurt to the British people, although not as much as all those bombs, eh, Jerry? All right, Jerry, any time! Straight between your gizzard!
I thought we politically moved on from issuing threats to former members of the IRA.
Well, the BBC also interviewed Maggie's biggest fan and disciple, Tony Blair. Did you see his tribute? He said, very few leaders get to change the landscape of not just their own country, but of the world. I mean, well, he certainly changed the landscape of Baghdad. I'm sorry, Tony, I'm sorry about that, because he had a heart operation, once he had ablation.
Well, he had one put in.
Did he have one put in? And now, Lord Howe of Aberavon was asked... I'm not going to say that again.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not, Aberavon...
It sounds like you're drowning in a bath.
was asked by Sky for his thoughts on his time in Thatcher's cabinet. And he said, it was a long time ago. Well, yes, that's the idea when someone dies, Geoffrey. A bit of reminiscing about old stuff. Come on, shape up!
I think you're in safer ground attacking Geoffrey Howe than you were with Jerry Adams.
Did you hear about Julian Stiles? According to the Mirror, Julian, 58, was made redundant from his factory job in 1984. I've been waiting for that witch to die for 30 years, he said. Tonight is party time. I'm drinking one drink for every year I've been out of work. 30 years? Without a job? Pull your finger out, Julian, you lazy bastard! I'll chin you, you bastard!
Let's abandon this show. Brian says, who wants a fight? Line up in alphabetical order. Adams, you're first.
I'm not in touch with Vivienne Westwood.
Right.
Though I did get married in Vivienne Westwood, so...
Did you?
You know, yeah. Not
inside her?
Karen Brady, off of The Apprentice, was at the Tory party conference. What was she wearing? I mean, what was she there for?
Oh, yes. Well, I can tell you what she was wearing.
You can say
it was
what
one
you...
of those body what's-it illusion dresses that makes you look half the size you are.
Yes, a
Is that
bodycon
That's
dress.
the one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Heard of that.
Well,
Sounds good.
Really good, yeah. Try one next time.
I will, yeah.
Not that I'm saying you need to.
No, not saying I want to. But I will.
We can have a look at Karen Brady's bodycon dress. If you believed the bodycon there, you'd just call an ambulance, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Brady was there to introduce George Osborne. Do you know how she did that?
George Osborne.
Bill Clinton did Tony Blair once.
Really?
I mean, introduced him.
Get your wife to do it now. That's the other thing at the conference.
Say,
I think
you're the hero.
after Justine's performance in the Ed Miliband show, no wife is going to do it again, are they? Did anyone
She
see
was
that?
told to kiss him.
Oh, yeah, and she has to do it.
Well,
not even prostitutes have to kiss. And there was also a spectre at the feast at the Tory conference. Do you know who that was?
Oh, Nigel Farage.
Yes, and I suppose the ghost of Margaret Thatcher was probably
because she was
there.
invoked, wasn't she?
Was she?
The mummy.
Well, they did a
returned.
séance.
Anyway, he turned up, didn't he?
Yes, he turned up in Manchester to address a lunatic fringe... Sorry, Freudian slip. A fringe meeting. Here he is arriving.
Do you expect a warm welcome at the Tory conference?
No.
It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Ratitude. The magazine of the North of England Rat Society. For northerners who don't find pigeons dirty enough. And we start with, Putin is what, says author?
Great bloke and I want to live.
Yeah.
Is it gay?
The answer is latently gay, says author. A new biography of Vladimir Putin speculates that he might be latently gay. The biographer is not the first to make this claim. The idea that President Putin is latently has been put forward by a number of recently deceased psychologists. Next, chimps take what?
Is it the fucking piss?
The answer is chimps take their owners to court.
No, they don't.
This is the story of a court case in New York in which 4 chimpanzees are seeking to be recognised as humans. The complexities of the chimpanzees' case have left legal experts scratching their heads, rubbing their asses on ropes and eating things from behind each other's ears. Next, from a rat PR point of view, what was very negative?
The bubonic plague.
No, it's the name Red-Eyed Devil. Next, Chinese girl had what in her ear?
British Prime Minister talking patronisingly. Got a flower to it.
It was a fully grown dandelion. A doctor tried to remove it by blowing, but all that happened was he found out it was 3 o'clock. Next, what was high at Thirsk Rat Show?
Sexual tension.
The body count. It was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. The safety officer. Looks all right to me. Just duck the rats on it. Good stuff.
The overall standard of ears was... Next, clown epidemic what?
Relatively easy to spot.
Clown epidemic in Norfolk, warned police. Police in Norfolk have warned of an epidemic of people dressed as clowns. Clowns are actually fairly easy to capture because they tend to have extremely unreliable getaway cars. Finally, what can add an element of aggression into the relationship which can backfire?
Drunken fighting amongst priests.
You bastard! You can't have a wedding.
It's shouting at a rat. What? The last time I had a rat backfire was when I stuck a firework up it. I'm just joking, obviously. It was a kitten.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Reg Transfers, the magazine for the world of personal number plates. And we start with Simon Cowell reveals what?
Reveals his number plate.
You probably can't see Simon Cowell's number plate for all the cigarette smoke billowing around his pregnant girlfriend. Did you see? There were pictures of... Did you not see that?
Were people smoking?
There's a picture of him in a car, fagging away, pregnant girlfriend in the passenger seat.
Unbelievable. I thought he was evil before, but...
Simon Cowell reveals his baby name choice is Simon.
Oh.
The baby's due in February. Simon Cowell's already got a high chair, some tiny clothes and a booster seat. All he needs now is to get some stuff for the baby. Next, Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding what?
Is it complete as it is? Just been hiding.
That's the Nazi art.
Masterpieces, yeah.
I will give you that. Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding secret Nazi art stash.
Yeah.
All the paintings were confiscated in the early 1940s, or as art historians call it, Hitler's angry period. Next, in Essex, we all have what?
Automatic weapons. An intrinsic knowledge of our local area. Personalised number plates.
Personalised plates.
Yeah.
There we are, yes. In Essex, we all have personal plates. I wanted my initials on my car, but I didn't fancy splashing out in a personalised number plate, so I just bought a second-hand AA van. Brilliant. Next, police dogs will receive what?
I know this.
Go on, then.
Pensions. They're going to get pensions.
Pensions?
Absolutely right.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody said truncheon meat.
Now, they did. That response is the reason why nobody did.
Next, George W. Bush planning what?
A gallery, an exhibition.
Yeah.
He's going to open an exhibition.
Yeah, but that's almost there, yes. He's planning to paint a series of... He's planning to paint a... Oh, Lord.
George W. Bush is planning to paint
portrait series of world leaders.
God, we used to accuse him of not being able to read.
Yeah. According to the Telegraph, he is also known to dabble in landscapes, as the people of Iraq know only too well. And finally, David Suchet admits to what when playing Poirot?
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. What is it?
Yes, he's got a penny up his arse, hasn't he? So it helps him mince the walk.
Oh, absolutely right, yep. David Suchet admits to clenching a penny between his buttocks when playing Poirot.
Which he learnt from Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
Who I think had more than pennies up his arse at one stage.
Right down to the line, Godfrey.
Sorry. I know you won't ask me back.
So,
what bit did the BBC get wrong?
This idea... so I run a company that trains veterans to go into cyber employment.
Yeah.
And 4 companies away from that, there's a company that's gone bust.
Yeah, it's not many companies. It's quite a big company. 4 people being arrested. Big story.
It's a big story, but it's got
But
nothing
you
to do with me.
you never...
Well, of course not. Why
Not
would I have
interested in
anything
who
to do with
provided your
financial products?
£85,000 salary?
Yes,
For a
and it was
4-hour
provided through business in that company that company generated. That
How
had
does
nothing
training
to do with
veterans
us, yeah.
make enough money to earn you 85
Because if you
grand?
train them in cyber security, and they have specialist skills, they go into FTSE 100 companies and they earn quite a lot of money in cyber security. I sound like a right bastard, don't I, doing this whole sort of veterans employment thing?
No, it's not the veterans bit. It's the £85,000 for a 4-hour job.
I know.
when if
I
you
know
really
what
wanted to help-
I know what you're thinking because you're
I'm thinking, why don't you do it for free?
I know because you get 20 grand for 2 hours tonight, don't you?
Yeah, but the people who've lost money out of this company are very cross with you. It's about your behaviour and the fact that you didn't know and didn't ask as a non-executive director, where does the money come from for this
I did
company?
ask where it came from, and it came from the business that's generated by the business that we do.
They were providing the money that kept your company going.
No,
and
they
you were a
didn't.
non-exec.
No, they didn't. That's why the BBC are being sued for libel, because no money went from that company into Crucial Academy.
But it did, though.
OK, well, you can keep saying that, but it really didn't. It
No,
still didn't.
I'm just saying the chain...
This is one for Judge Rinder, I think.
Yeah. I am merely trying to establish the facts. You say you're going to sue the BBC for reporting a story that everybody else has run, and you say that's not how the money got there.
I am absolutely sure that not a single penny has come from LCF and gone into Crucial Academy. If it has, I would leave.
It hasn't gone directly in. It's gone in through a series of
No,
other companies.
directly or indirectly. If it had, I would leave. Any
All
more?
right, well, we'll see what happens.
This is like all of my Christmas dinners with my family.
Remember Anne Widdecombe?
I'm sorry, David, it's a big story. 4 people were arrested, and I know you think that your political enemies have smeared you with this story, but
No, I
it is
don't.
there.
No, I don't.
It's in the news.
No, I don't think that. I don't think they have smeared me with this story.
But you have accused the Deputy Chief Whip of trying to dig up dirt.
The Deputy Chief Whip has decided to go and ask friends of mine that I served with in the military whether or not things in my book were correct, and obviously I found out, wasn't overly pleased. That book was signed off by the parents of individuals who were killed in that war and who fought with me and my soldiers, but obviously not good enough for the Deputy Chief Whip. And when I confronted him about it, he claimed that was his job, to kick the tyres. And when I spoke to my friend, who he had actually spoken to, he hadn't done anything like that at all. He'd tried to get some dirt and blackmail me to vote for the Prime Minister's deal in January.
That's why they did it, to try and force your vote?
Yeah.
Right.
Nice place, politics.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, why did I sign up?
Why did you?
Yeah.
Like Anne Widdecombe. Remember her?
Jeremy, what's his name, came to see one of my shows in Edinburgh a couple of years ago. I remember my audience wouldn't deliberately mislead anybody. So I'm quite willing to believe everything he says.
So that's you and David Cameron.
Yes. If the Prime Minister thinks he's OK, that's good enough for me. I'm quite naive about these things.
Well, the Prime Minister's had a very good track record.
Yes.
I mean, Andy Coulson was OK.
Yes, he was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Till he wasn't.
Until he wasn't.
Yeah. So what's your reading of the situation, Mr Hislop?
Do you know...
What?
I don't think the government come out very well out of this. It does appear that they were so far up Mr Murdoch's bottom, you couldn't see any of their heads. This is the Leveson inquiry, and it was a shocking day. Mr Hunt was the Culture Secretary. He was in charge of the bid for B-Sky B, and yet his office was giving information all the way through to the Murdochs.
I mean, why hasn't he gone? It's more
well, he's there as a firewall, isn't he? If he goes, then Mr Cameron is looking very shaky.
It's like that thing of when everybody gets annoyed with each other and they end up kicking the dog. I mean, James Hunt has dismissed his private advisor.
James Hunt? The former racing driver? Why am I asking this man? Why am I asking him? He's got no idea. He's mixed up Formula 1 racing drivers with the Culture Secretary. Mind you, if you're going to get his name wrong, it's better to get his first name wrong rather than his second one.
I think I was trying hard not to get his second name wrong. Since him with the 70s.
You're all right in the zone. This is the news that the Leveson inquiry has finally perked up at long last, and everyone is
finally perked up. There have been some notably excellent witness statements.
You turned up there, didn't you? You were in a very happy position of having nothing to hide.
Yeah, but I had no idea it was going to get this good. Murdoch today, selective amnesia, fabulous. You know, the medics must be having a field day. Can you remember anything about phone hacking? No. Can you remember how badly all the politicians have behaved? Yeah, bloody well can. Yeah.
Ian and Nancy, have a look at this.
That's a Tory MP.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell they're all like that. That's a Labour MP.
Yeah.
That's Tom Watson. Ah, Murdoch's been arrested. He's in the slammer. Bye-bye. And they can't bear to look.
Because
it's so
they can't bear to
sad.
look. Yes, they are very sad.
So that's it. Big news. Murdoch's inside. And he's...
Not strictly true.
No, it isn't, is it? I was suddenly in the world of fantasy. There's been a select committee, and they delivered their report. And they said that Murdoch was willfully blind. And they said his son was willfully ignorant about the phone hacking and what was going on in News International. So it was a really bad day for the Murdochs.
Yeah, I think there are some important questions to be answered by all of Rupert Murdoch's employees.
I think there are.
Yeah, so here we go. What do you think about it, Jeremy? Well, I think as a Sun journalist, it's just a lot of stuff and nonsense and a storm in a teacup. So there we are, moving on. Paul?
I thought you were talking to me there when you said, what do you think, Jeremy? I thought you just forgot my name.
You're not the only Sun journalist. Nancy writes for The Sun.
On the Sunday, a column about fashion. Now, I can't believe myself when I accepted.
You shocked yourself, did you?
Actually, I shocked myself many times. So, yes, every day, even a shock was there when I walked in the mirror in the morning. I can surprise everyone getting beautiful and beautiful every day. So,
Do we have any English guests on this?
Now, don't start. Do you need an interpreter?
Yeah.
OK, I'll translate. Nancy
Right.
was really ashamed of herself for taking money from Murdoch.
Yeah.
Is that not it? You know, there's a shortage of court interpreters in this country. I think I might apply.
Why do you think you speak the perfect English?
Do I think I speak perfect English? These things are relative. But I don't speak 5 languages, unlike you, so,
Thank you.
I'm just trying to be helpful.
Stop flirting! You did actually once say, didn't you, that any man who doesn't flirt with you must be gay?
Yes, I said.
Ian, you passed.
Look at the top pledge on the top. We will invade Iraq against the wishes of the people of Britain.
Yeah, but it was Miliband who stopped the invasion into Syria. That's
And?
something for him, isn't it? I haven't heard you say much about that.
No, because I'm more interested in the previous one, which
Well,
you
they
were
were wrong.
involved in.
And we made it clear that's so. We made a mistake, there's no doubt about that. But give Miliband the credit for stopping us doing the same thing with Syria.
OK,
because Cameron was about to get to do it with the Americans.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. And Obama
You just
took
don't work
the hit.
about it or talk about it. Anyway, that's the difference between us.
Yeah.
Should we start again?
But you say
I don't think so.
that the manifesto will only just come out, so the candidate can't be expected to know what's in it. Is the manifesto meant to be a massive surprise to Labour candidates?
No, but when you get... Well, in our party, you have to get it through the National Executive and we have a policy making for the manifesto. You don't know necessarily what's coming through. I think some great things have come through, particularly when we're dealing with the Leveson report and what are we going to do about making the press more accountable.
Yes,
That's quite important.
You're going to legislate, aren't you?
What we said about that, we will carry out what Leveson said. We wait to see the press...
Leveson said nothing about a royal charter. He didn't mention it.
I would have thought you, as a journalist, might find that's an important point.
No, as a journalist, it's an unimportant point.
Oh, blimey, in private eye, you're sued every day, for God's sake, for what you say about people.
No, we're not. And certainly not about you. I know you've got problems with the press and your private life, John.
I think the last time you raised it, you got the same move. Why don't you be more specific and say it? Usually straightforward in private eye. What's your complaint?
OK, you're very, very unhappy about the press's intrusion into your private life because they revealed you were
never
having an affair
complained
with
about
Tracy
it at
Temple.
all.
And it was very embarrassing for you.
No, it wasn't.
God, it wasn't embarrassing.
No, I made a mistake. I owned up to it publicly, and I was waiting for this one to come from you.
You didn't own up to it publicly. You were revealed as doing it.
Hey,
I've got an idea.
I did it at the Labour
Why don't you two find a
conference.
room?
Didn't you watch
You two
that?
find a room, and whoever comes out alive is the winner.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Oh, it's a death stare. He gave me a death stare. It depends who's ordering the room service, I suppose, doesn't it, John?
This is like a terrible family Christmas.
Ritual is so... I mean, what are the benefits of joining this club? What do you get? 10% off sports equipment? I mean, what's the great club that you have to stick your cock in a dead pig's mouth to become a member?
Ian, you used to be a member, didn't you?
There's a hesitation.
No, I wasn't a member. It says I was a member on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
which
that's
is,
what they all say.
Yeah, which is quite embarrassing, given I spent half the week with tabloid journalists ringing me up saying, have you...
Placed your chap?
Clarkson in a... receptacle. Anyway, no, I was not a member of the Piers Gaveston Society. I was a member of the Piers Morgans.
I won't ask what the ritual was to get into that club.
Did you know people who were, though? Is that the sort of thing they did?
No. I mean, they
yes,
threw...
yes, no. Final 2 words on the subject.
No. He asked me 2 questions. He said, did you know people who were there?
Yes.
And then he asked another question. So I said, yes, I did know people.
Yes.
No, I didn't, which is sort of my answer.
Yes.
I thought I was the one that was going to get a hard time tonight, and it turns out Ian is. Right, yes. This is...
Is that it? We're going to just leave it alone? Lord Ashcroft getting this amazing story into the public domain via the Daily Mail.
I don't think it's even a story. It's a fantasy.
It's an act of amazing revenge by the Mail in cohorts with Lord Ashcroft, which the whole country has decided to believe. Usually a story in the Daily Mail, peddled by a non-dom Tory peer who gave 8 million quid to the Tory party and is in a strop because he wasn't made Defence Secretary, would be laughed out of court. Well, it's not in court yet, but I was hoping it might get in. But no, we've all taken this seriously, and there's the grinning Lord Ashcroft, who, I mean, you know, if you want to talk about members inserted into, you know, the House of Lords, there he is. I mean, it's a disgraceful story. This man, Lord Ashcroft, who gave the Tories all this money, thought he could get himself into the cabinet, thought he could buy himself a cabinet post. And everybody's gone along with this, saying, oh, great, Lord Ashcroft. I mean, he's a non-dom. If we're doing prick jokes, let's have a condom joke. And if you want something disgusting the Prime Minister's done, I mean, you know, there's loads of it. Bedroom tax would be a good start. There's plenty of these things, and everyone goes around saying, oh, it's about a pig when he was 20. Well, how about being really appalling when he was 50?
There is still only a 1 in a million chance of dying from a vaccine-related blood clot. As you say, it's incredibly rare, but...
the real danger is surely that politicians are looking at the facts and then changing their minds and changing the policies to do something sensible. And if that catches on, I think we're in for a terrible, terrible shock.
Are you still being light, Ian? Is this you being light?
Yeah, this is me being light. This is me being upbeat.
The jazz hands were missing when you said...
Oh, sorry, no, because I haven't washed them.
I like the way it turned into a contest between all the ministers about other things that are incredibly risky. Like, they could all name things that are like, oh, it's much worse to go upstairs, or much worse to take the contraceptive pill, something you'd think Boris Johnson would be more aware of.
And they keep analysing the risk. They say it's the equivalent of driving for 250 miles. I mean, that's all the way to Durham.
I've had my vaccine, right? I'm a little bit annoyed because I genuinely didn't feel a thing. And there was me saying, oh, thank you very much, it was brilliant. And on the way out, I thought, well, how do I know they've actually done it? I didn't have a sore arm, didn't have any side effects at all. As far as they could have been taking the piss. I just thought, well, they're low on doses. If we don't like the look of him, let's not give him an injection.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've had nothing. I might not have, but I've been told I have. See...
I knew you'd find a miserable hang.
Did they give you a little sticker, at least?
I wanted an I've been brave sticker. I think that would have been good. That would have sort of, you know... Obviously, there were 4 of them holding me down at the time.
And we start with the bigger stories of the week.
Yeah, great.
George Osborne. Oh, it's just Handsome Hunks Friday.
This is the autumn statement, which was quite cheery. George Osborne announced that it's not as bad as you think. It's worse. It's just so gloomy, it's unbelievable. Everything's up. Misery, austerity, poverty.
Yes.
It sort of makes you yearn for when people said, no, things are going to get better and it'll be all right. He just said, no, it's terrible. Until 2018, it's just awful.
Yeah. He should have just thrown his paper and gone, it. Why bother?
So that's his prediction, is it?
No, no,
Just...
he's changed his predictions. His previous predictions, unfortunately, weren't true. Or didn't come true. Yeah. And his new predictions are much more realistic.
Are they?
Yeah, he says it's going to be really awful.
He says there'll be negative growth for the end of 2012, which means it's a triple-dip recession.
Ooh.
Sounds like a delicious ice cream.
But we have got growth. We've got the Duchess of Cambridge. She's having growth on our behalf.
And she will be a beacon in my life.
A beacon of hope.
As I see my pension fund I started now worth 3 peanuts and a bauble. You know, as I slowly rot in my
You're
shed.
not going to slowly rot in a shed.
Loads of comforting words as we approach Christmas.
There's always someone worse off than yourself.
Yes. It is, yeah.
As the Queen often reflects. What did Ed Balls say about all this?
He got it all wrong, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
I didn't see it myself, but he sort of got the opening phrases all a bit wrong and it all collapsed a little bit.
Yes, he said the national deficit is rising, it's not falling.
Yeah. That was his zinger.
Yeah.
Against the government. And they just sat there and they laughed at him.
But then there was discussion about whether all this wasn't down to his stammer.
He said it makes it much worse when people shout at me.
It's so stressful and difficult, isn't it? All the numbers and adding it up, and is it going up or going down, and who should we tax? And then people are shouting at you. It's very unfair on poor old Ed Balls, and it's been months since he's managed to find time to buy some sausage rolls for himself. You know...
And he's got a terrible job, because he's been saying, look, we don't need to, you know, cut the debt this fast. And the government's going, no, we haven't cut it because we're useless. So he has to get up and say, you... haven't.
You failed to do the thing I told you would be a disaster if you did it. And it's a disaster.
Yeah. No wonder he stammered.
It's basically very sporting of him on the day that George Osborne gets up and shows himself to be an idiot who knows nothing, to say, I'll join in with you, George, and seem like the alternative is possibly worse.
Blimey, students, they've woken up. They've been told that the teaching budget's been cut, they're going to have to pay 3 times as much and pay it back for the rest of their lives, and they're thinking, I'm not sure I approve of that.
A student was interviewed and said, and I quote, "There's no jobs out there, and now they're asking us to pay £9 grand a year, which if you do 3 years, that's like 21 grand.
Of course, the Lib Dems were staunchly saying, of course, they wouldn't go up, which is great that they got in power and put it up.
Yeah. Well, they had no idea they were going to be in power when they...
Well, they could have...
when they made these promises.
Nick Clegg keeps saying it's the right government for the right time, which I think is such a seedy way to sort of dignify opportunism. You know, he would have made a pact with the Klingons if it meant to sniff a cow.
I don't know, I think the Klingon manifesto was pretty good.
No. I'm going to disagree here, because the Klingons have shown in the past that they're hell-bent on world domination, so I'm glad the Liberal Democrats are in there with them.
And the Klingons always get the Lib Dems to make the policy announcements.
Absolutely.
They're going to blow up a whole planet. They say, oh, get the Lib Dem to announce it.
The Lib Dem party in this arrangement is the equivalent of the guy you see on Star Trek walking around the planet who you've never seen before, is the first one to get killed. That's the Liberal Democrats in this scenario.
But how does Nick Clegg look at himself in the mirror in the mornings?
Just looks at David Cameron and sees the same thing.
America?
Yes, of course. They've just had these mid-term elections. There's Sarah Palin, Ian's favourite. And then there's Obama, the president, who is not doing very well at the moment. The American people, 1 in 4 think he's Muslim, 1 in 10 think he's a terrorist, 1 in 50 think he's a holiday they took in Mexico in 1968.
In the last US election, it was Hockey Mons. Who are the rabid right-wing Republican banshees these days? What are they called now?
Mama Grizzlies.
Mama Grizzly and the Tea Party. Sarah Palin said Mama Grizzlies are ordinary people with common sense who just kind of know when something is wrong.
That's good.
When she was nominated for vice president, the head of the Republican Party in Alaska was asked what her qualifications for high office were. And he paused, and she said, she's the right age, and she's an American citizen.
She gave a radio interview. The host said, how would you handle a situation like the one that just developed in North Korea? Palin, obviously we've got to stand with our North Korean... To which the host replied, South Korean. Yeah, said Palin.
How's Bill Clinton been helping out?
Oh, God, has he been campaigning for them? Is that what they've lost so badly? It's that awful moment when Neil Kinnock says, I support you as a candidate.
I think he'd be good for them, wouldn't he, though?
Do you? You liked him? You liked Bill Clinton?
I thought he seemed like a very nice man.
Did you meet him?
I have met him once, actually, yes.
Was he at one of your concerts?
No, he wasn't. He made me feel very special. He came...
Did you keep the dry cleaning receipt?
On the eve of the election, Bill Clinton made his own contribution to the campaign. According to The Times, Mr. Clinton went through 9 different states, including arousal, ecstasy, exhaustion and guilt.
Time for the odd one out round. Paul and Bernard, Antigone, Samuel Pepys, Bernard Cribbins, and some Franciscan monks in Leicester.
Antigone, I don't know anything about it.
I did the play once.
Something to do with your career, Bernard.
Storytelling?
Storytelling.
No. Well, we'll keep going.
We know it. It's to do with holes and burying.
Ah.
Because hole in the ground.
Bernard did a song called Hole in the Ground.
Hole in the ground, yeah.
How did it go?
There I was, a digging this hole, hole in the ground, so big as all around it was, and there was I. It was Noel Coward's favourite when he did Desert Island Discs. And he said, if you could only have one record, Mr. Coward, which would you take? He said, I'd take Mr. Cribbins doing Hole in the Ground. Why? I could translate it into French as I walked up and down the beach.
True. It's about burying, because Antigone was trying to bury her brother. And her uncle wouldn't let her.
The Leicester must be the Richard III burial.
They want to bury him, or they did bury him.
Or they buried him in a car park.
What we're looking for is an odd one out.
So they've all buried things.
They all put stuff in a hole in the ground, apart from Bernard, who just sang about it.
I actually put a man in there.
Oh, OK, so it's Samuel Pepys.
There's the clue.
Because it wasn't a man, it was cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all buried someone apart from Samuel Pepys, who buried his cheese, and that's not a euphemism.
His cheese.
I'm right, said Fred.
Right, said Fred. That finished with somebody getting squashed as well.
Did you have any hits not involving fatalities?
No, there were a couple of hymns, but nothing.
In Greek mythology, Antigone buried her dead brother. And how's the story end, Ian?
Badly. It's a Greek tragedy, everyone dies.
Yeah. So Antigone was sentenced to death to be buried alive.
Yeah, not good.
So she hung herself.
Yeah, and then Bernard did a really funny song about it.
Stop hanging about, Antigone. You're making a mess on the floor.
We've just cleaned up last Saturday. We don't want to do it no more.
Only given.
Because they've all buried someone, apart from Samuel Pepys, who buried his cheese to save it from the Great Fire of London. The monks who buried Richard III wore grey garments and were hence known as the Grey Friars, just as those who wore black garments were known as the Black Friars, and the profound thinkers who ate a lot, the Deep Fat Friars.
Now, it was an amazing night for Jeremy Corbyn. Alan, you described him as useless, incompetent and incapable.
You're reading things into that, and this is... typical of the mainstream media attacking. So Hislop and his establishment paper, Public Eye, whatever it is.
Yes.
And you just make up these
Can I just say at this point, I'd like to congratulate Jeremy on a very, very good campaign. I'm not serious. He was terrible, but he wasn't as terrible as her. That's all that matters. If you start from a really low bar, a huge success. But he's now as successful as Gordon Brown was when he lost.
I sort of think that most people will vote Remain if they do it again.
No, all the polls suggest people haven't changed their minds at all.
OK.
Everyone in here, if you had your time again, who would vote differently?
Well, what's that going to tell us?
50%
put their hands up. Well, that's conclusive.
No, what that tells us is absolutely pointless to have a second referendum, because for anyone to vote any different, they would have to admit they got it wrong the first time round. No one's going to do that.
No, people don't want to do that.
Yeah. All that talk about, oh, if there's a second referendum, there will be 80-20 in favour of Remain. Not on your Nelly. No chance. It will be exactly the same outcome, because... Say you weren't happy with the level of immigration 2 years ago, you're not going to be happy about it now.
No.
So if you thought 2 years ago the country was run by unelected European Union bureaucrats, well, nothing over the past 2 years would have changed your opinion on that. Well, and if you were daft enough to fall for that 350 million quid a week for the NHS law, you're daft enough to fall for something else next time round. Nick, here's another for you.
Oh, yes, OK. This is a clip from George Méliès's Voyage to the Moon. That's a nuclear explosion. There was some story this week about, was it during the Cold War, the Americans were debating about whether they should blow up the moon with nuclear weapons. I didn't quite see what they thought the point with that would be.
It's because Hans Blix had told them that the clangers had weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the little boy was the bomb they dropped on Hiroshima, so they were looking at something a lot bigger. It was called a fat man. Would you like to see a picture of a fat man?
Yeah.
See? This is the actual bomb. You thought we were going to show you something like this. No.
It's Eric Pickles. He's a member of the cabinet. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, I certainly have, but I didn't realise he was that large.
What was the reason why they wanted to do this?
It was I think it was sort of posturing, because the Russians had launched Sputnik, so they wanted to make a statement and surprise the Russians by blowing up the moon. Yeah, nothing happened in the
Sanity
end.
prevailed.
Yeah, because there were doubts over what effect a moon blast could have on Earth, including tidal patterns. Talking of which, floods in this country have now got serious because a celebrity has been affected. Which celebrity?
What's the initials?
PD.
Is it P. Diddy?
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels.
He lives by the River Thames.
Correct.
He lives on a little island.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul Daniels said this week that he was furious with the council and that his house was currently under about 2 foot of flooding.
He's been flooded every year for years and he keeps moaning about it. Get a sandbag, for God's sake.
Weird, is it, if you live next to the Thames and then complain about flooding?
In the Thames.
It's like moving in next door to Ryan Giggs and then complaining when he bangs your wife. Like... You surely knew when you moved into the area. This is America's plan in the 1950s to blow up the moon. The plan to fire a nuclear missile at the moon was codenamed Project A119, although its purpose was later downgraded to finding a way of connecting Hartford and Stevenage. That is the actual road. Meanwhile, on Earth, the UK was again hit by widespread flooding. One of the people affected was magician Paul Daniels. He was stranded in his house. The emergency services said despite frantic efforts, they were running out of excuses not to rescue him.
And Rachel, take a look at this.
That's women bishops.
Yes, it's welcome to Have I Got Pews for You. We must have had that joke before, Ian.
No, there's a reason for that.
No. There's the outgoing Robert Runcie hugging what could be a female member of the laity, or the lady.
I think it's Rowan Williams, actually.
Oh, it was Rowan Williams, wasn't it? Did I say Runcie? God,
yeah, he's
I am
dead,
out
but
of date,
in a real sense, he's still with us. Essentially, as I understood it, there was an overwhelming majority in favour of women bishops, which means you can't have them.
I think everyone was a bit startled, shaken and stirred. Shaken and stirred by this vote, because in this country...
It doesn't help by repeating it slow and loud.
I thought we bonded then, though. Me and...
We have bonded. I was thinking of covering the Israel-Gaza crisis.
No, we're on the women bishops.
Yeah, well, I reckon the women bishops' story would keep it light. Just shows you how wrong I can be, doesn't it?
I think that in this country we expect people, on the whole, especially beardy Christians, who wear sandals and who say things like, God bless.
I think it's called Jesus. It's called Jesus in the Bible.
We expect them.
Jesus in the Bible.
I know you're a Christian, Ian. What would you have voted
Well,
for women
now,
bishops?
really, in this country, you can't go around throwing that sort of accusation at people.
You are openly
I'm a
Christian.
member of the Church of England, which is very, very different.
Is it? Well, it is now.
There are 3 houses. There's the bishops, and they voted for it, and the priests, and they voted for it, and the laity, they didn't. It's a very, very peculiar decision. But as it happens, everyone's very, very sad and very, very disappointed. They're going to do what the C of E does, is they say, we're going to take our time, we're going to pray for each other, we're going to bitch about each other really badly in private, and then in another 100 years, we'll have another vote.
Yes, but
as soon as that?
Yes. No, it's all go.
Reform's just like that amongst religious
Well,
groups,
I'm never
isn't
going to
it?
make it, am I, as a women bishop?
Do you know, I think you're not.
I tell you what, though, this has opened the door for women imams. There's a whole gap in the market
Well, what
there.
I think is that the women in the church...
They haven't quite got round to that yet.
But it was stymied by the laity, whatever that means.
Yeah.
going to happen.
Who are the laity?
They don't know, but he's specialised in charge with lying, hasn't he?
Yes.
With falsifying, with the big bus with the figure outside that was something like £320 billion a week going through Europe or something like that. So
We'll have to be careful, or they'll cut this out, and I don't want anyone to spoil the fun of thinking Boris is going to go to jail for life. Which, so at the moment we're just at the preliminary hearing stage.
Oh, right, OK.
About whether, when he was a public official, he was telling lies and therefore abusing his office. It should be an interesting trial. I mean, very similar to putting the Pope on trial and saying, "Are you a Catholic?" He was sacked from then sacked from sacked by his own reprimanded.
Ian,
yes,
we're not allowed to say anything that might prejudice the case.
Well, that's absolutely fair enough, because I would like him to have a fair trial with a desirable result of him being imprisoned forever.
Without wishing to prejudice the outcome of the case?
No, because we mustn't do that. I'm not saying he's guilty.
Would you like to see Boris Johnson?
Let's deal with your arguments. One of them is on the side of this bus. We send 350 million to Europe. We don't, and you know we don't. No, we don't. You know we don't. Admit that that figure is grotesquely misleading at best.
I won't.
The true figure is 161 million, correct?
No, the true figure is 350 million.
In net terms, the real figure is 161.
If you take out the abatement and the money that comes back, the UK money that comes back via Brussels, the figure is obviously lower.
Matt Lucas is so good.
Cameron votes on the high-speed rail bill's second reading.
Well, he's all for it, isn't he?
He didn't turn up.
Oh, he didn't turn up?
No. He didn't actually turn up.
He was on a train, it was late.
Well...
He didn't bother, even though he lives just across the road. Apparently he was having a date night, and Nick was really looking forward to it, so he... Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, is a supporter of the high-speed rail link, but how did he sensitively answer those voicing environmental concerns?
He said it's absolute bollocks. All these environmentalists, they don't care about butterflies and trees. All they care about is their house prices. Do you know what? If Boris Johnson was like a woman or a poor person, they wouldn't get away with the things that he says. But because he was, like, well-educated and posh, I think people think...
Is there a problem coming here?
No, but I think... No, but we wouldn't get away with it. But people assume that his stupidity is deliberate because he's been so well educated. He basically said that trees were stupid and that they didn't need to be saved because there are no trees in this country older than 200 years old.
Why is he so anti-tree?
He hates trees. They all hate grit. They all think the environment is like for pussies, don't they, and girls and stuff. No, they do. It's all money.
Who's
They
they?
make me sick. Oh, you lot.
What lie did Boris Johnson tell Robert Peston?
Was this the 350 million again?
Linked?
On the NHS?
Linked.
Did he say it would be reconsidered?
He said it was in the manifesto.
Yeah.
Did she say it at the manifesto launch?
No. Not only did he lie, but he actually cheated as well, because he looked at Peston's notes in the hope of finding out what the question was going to be, and he was caught.
I didn't know what cheating you were referring to there.
You've suddenly adopted the character of a northern housewife. Have you heard about... Well, it's no surprise to me. He was rinsing out his own gloves last Saturday.
We haven't talked about Labour very much, so to head off any accusations of bias...
Are you leaving now to be replaced? The next round will be hosted by Michael Portillo. Come on, we can have a train round.
When it comes to Labour's manifesto promises, how did Shadow Foreign Secretary Emily Thornberry muddy the waters?
Was this Trident?
Yep.
She said there'd be a review, and the review might include scrapping it. Was that the problem?
And do you know who contradicted her and said it was Labour's policy to keep Trident?
Shadow Defence?
The Shadow Defence Secretary, that's right. This was Nia Griffiths, the Shadow Defence Secretary. Emily is not the Shadow Defence Secretary, I am.
You're doing it again! I don't know who that man was. She was in the pub on Saturday, but it wasn't her husband, I'll tell you that much. I know full well he's got a job in Peterborough.
did David Cameron decide to start pumping himself up?
Where?
Did this happen? Yes. I mean, geographically, where?
Was it in the Goole area?
He was visiting the Institute of Chartered Accountants.
Oh, yes, I see.
Oh, that's a really pumped-up kind of place.
Exactly right. Yeah, do you want to have a little look at this?
Yeah. And if I'm getting lively about it, it's because I feel bloody lively about it. And if you think I'm going to roll over in the next 10 days and let Ed Miliband and Alex Salmond rack that, you've got another thing coming. Taking a risk, having a punt, having a go. That pumps me up.
I think that passes for hysteria amongst the accountants.
Yeah. As well as being bloody lively and pumped up, what else is David Cameron going to do?
He's not going to put up taxes.
He's not going to put up taxes.
It's more than that,
But how is he going to ensure
he's
that
going
he
to
does?
pass
By an
a
act of
law
Parliament.
to stop people like himself putting up taxes? It's the most pathetic gesture I've ever seen. Saying, look, I can't be trusted not to just whack up income tax as soon as I get in, so I'm going to pass a law to stop me. Income tax, VAT and national
insurance, yeah.
You know, in any government that comes in, historically, the first thing they do is they put up taxes, because they have to. And it's the only year you can do it where you're not worried about the election. So taxes will go up. He'll have to find some other ones. Or break the law and be arrested. Or maybe he knows he's not getting in anyway. Oh, the Kent police.
George Osborne was very good on this in 2009 when because Brown was talking about passing legislation.
Yeah, Gordon Brown outlawed child poverty.
Yeah.
Gone. Thank God for that. Don't have to worry about that anymore. It's against the law. No, it's finished.
The low point of the media coverage this week, I think, was the analysis of Samantha Cameron's feet. In various newspapers where there was a shot of her with her shoes off, and there were big close-ups, and all the experts were coming in to describe.
There's thought there was a slight yellowing of the toenails.
Definitely a yellowing, and
could have been
how
caused...
high heels were damaging her feet.
Was it in the Daily Mail? Was it saying Labour poisons Sam's feet?
Which football team does David Cameron support?
Aston Villa.
Well, he doesn't really know, does he? And he claimed to be an Aston Villa supporter, but then he said this in a speech.
Where you can support Man United, the Windies and Team GB all at the same time. Of course, I'd rather you supported West Ham.
He seemed to realise he'd said the wrong thing.
How did he explain his mistake?
I don't support West Ham or Aston Villa. I'm no interested in football. We played rugger where I come from. But a lot of people watch football, so I pretended to have an interest in it in order to gain their votes.
According to the Daily...
lose the bit of pay. I mean, if you're a vicar, everyone always expects you to be able to quote chapter and verse from the Bible, but you don't hold the information in that way. So it's thou shalt not commit adultery, you know. Tiny detail. The Gospel according to Shrek, I don't know.
No, he was announcing the childcare plans.
Yeah, it was a big one.
I mean, it was that issue. So there were two things to remember, how many children and how much it cost. It was poor. I mean, it's difficult to spin it any other way.
I've just heard that Theresa May's now pulled out of doing Woman's Hour herself. She's been replaced by Justine Greening. What do you think of that?
Do you know that's in the same studio as Saturday Live? So I'll be detecting
The
signs
aura.
of nervousness on the seats when they go in.
That's really disgusting.
It's another edition of I didn't know a vicar would say that.
Do you usually sniff the seats?
This is the exciting news that the election campaign is nearly over. Theresa May warned that when it came to the EU, Jeremy Corbyn could find himself alone and naked in the negotiating chamber, something only achieved once before by a rat-arse Nigel Farage. During her interview with Jeremy Paxman, Theresa May insisted that what's needed to negotiate a successful Brexit is a bloody difficult woman. Luckily, that's exactly what Germany has got. After Theresa May missed the debate, the Mirror referred to the absent Prime Minister as Chicken Theresa May. You can order Chicken Theresa May in a restaurant near me. It's thin-skinned, boneless and refuses to be grilled.